So Russ started a floristry business in the Teesside area as his first venture into the world of business. Having sold it to the current owner, it continues to be successful and is still growing. Russ has a passion for helping and supporting people in all areas of life and business, and is a giver by nature. Okay, he was a proud member of BNI before taking on the role of executive director for Durham and Teesside, alongside his lovely wife who really does everything, Jill. And they've helped hundreds of businesses, sharing millions of pounds worth of revenue, with their BNI region generating in excess of £12 million worth of business. During his time in BNI, Russ has trained hundreds of fellow directors, served on the Franchise Advisory Council in the UK, and served as the first ever president of the Founders Circle, where he represented over 850 executive directors from around the world as their contact with the global support team. Personally, I've known Russ now for a number of years. One of my favourite memories is grabbing him for a childish selfie with Charlie Lawson. You may not remember this, in one of the hotels in Nottingham.
Chester. Oh, was it Nottingham?
Oh, is it Chester? I'm not sure.
It was definitely Chester.
Was it?
Yeah, yeah.
And the reason is because they did an amazing little video, and if you email me, I will send it to you. There's an amazing video on Facebook talking all about visibility, credibility, and profitability. And they liken this to light bulbs and fitting light bulbs, and believe me, you need to see the video to understand it. But I remember showing it to my kids and they were all giggling, and then walking through Costco a week later, and my daughter saw on a shelf a lonely light fitting all on its own. And she looked at me deadpan and went, "Hey, look, Mum, that's credibility." And that for me always has been Russ, light bulb of ideas, of support, and massive credibility. And personally, I had some horrific news when I was in Bangkok, and Mike and Russ took me out, stopped me from wallowing, and looked after me and supported me at a night that I absolutely needed it. I love this guy. He's going to be awesome. Thank you so much for doing this. Over to you, Russ.
Thank you very much. I feel a bit, whenever people introduce me with all that stuff, I feel like, oh, I feel like I'm a fraud. But it was, I remember that night in Bangkok, and we went to one of the outside bars that was set up, and they bring a beer thing to your table. And after about 5 of them, Louise didn't feel as bad, which is strange, that, isn't it? But there was an amazing selfie, actually, Louise. I don't know if you and Mike remember, in the lift on the way back into the hotel, and we bumped into a load of guys that were like, "Where have you guys been?" And we had just a random selfie in the lift. It's one of my favourite pictures of a conference. So there are some people, guys, that I say no to doing this an awful lot. Much to other ED's disappointment, but there are some people you don't say no to, and Mike Holman was one of the first EDs to really look out for me and spot some talent and nurture it. And quite often in life, whether it's BNI or whether it's in your work environment before you went into self-employment, you'll come across people that would much rather not see you elevated because they worry about it not elevating them. Mike Holman, you call me a natural giver. This guy would give you his last pound if it meant that you would survive in business. So I can't say no when one of Mike's team asks me to come and do this stuff. Mike was also one of the first EDs when Louise was a DC. I don't know if you remember Louise, that invited me over to the pyramid-shaped hotel, the Village Inn, to a regional team day to do a presentation when nobody else wanted me to speak at their events. So I really appreciate Mike for starting out my journey, and I appreciate the friendship that Louise has extended me, and the rest of your regional team when I've been doing director training or I've met them at conference. You guys are special, and you're in really safe hands with this team. So that's me. Thank you very much. Any questions? Oh no, I've got to do a presentation. I'll share my screen. So the presentation that I'd like to show you guys today is called Pull from the Top. Now, this is something that will resonate with pretty much everybody here, particularly with the last year that we've had. And what we've done in a lot of cases is, because life's a little bit different now, our chapters are a little bit different, we fall into bad habits and we don't necessarily look out for other people And we don't realise that looking out for the people is an amazing tonic for us as well. So what I want to do is, first of all, show you a video that was me for the first 3.5 years of my B&I membership. I was a member for 10 years before I took the step into being an executive director. And I've been an executive director now for 9 years. I know I just don't look old enough. I use Just for Men, Liam. It works really, really well. But somebody said to me, if you were going to use Just for Men, why would you choose ginger? And I don't know. They didn't have any other colours available. So take a look at this and see if you recognise yourself in the chapter president.
They've bled us white.
The Bounders.
They've taken all of our time and all of our money. And not just from us, from our business partners. And from our business partners.
And our business partners, partners.
Yeah.
And our business partners, business partners.
You're right, Alan. Don't labour the point. And what's B&I ever done for us in return?
The networking?
What?
The networking?
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and the weekly presentation.
Oh yeah, the weekly presentation. Remember what a sales pitch used to be like?
Yeah, okay, so we've got the networking and the weekly presentation. They're the two things that B&I has done for us.
And the referrals.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the referrals. I mean, the referrals go without saying. So we've got the networking, we've got the weekly presentation, and the referrals.
Reputation.
Credibility. Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah.
Education.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
And the testimonials.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we'd really miss those, Russ, if we left B&I. Public speaking.
And it's safe to refer other businesses now.
Yeah, they certainly know how to pass business, Russ. I mean, let's face it, who else does in an economy like this?
Yeah, all right. But apart from the weekly presentations, education, networking, business contacts, reputation, referrals, testimonials, credibility, a word-of-mouth marketing system, and profitability, what's B&I ever done for us?
Brought business?
Business? Shut up.
Always look on the right side of life.
So, do we all recognise ourselves in that at various stages of our B&I membership? I think we've all been there. And that was me for the first 3.5 years as a member. I joined B&I to grow my business, and I wasn't going to put myself out too much for other people. The executive director at the time, from about my 5th year of membership, kept saying, come and join the regional team, come and join the regional team. I said, why? And he said, because you'll get to spread your products and services all over the region, and everybody will know who you are. Now, I owned a floristry business. I didn't want to be delivering flowers 2 hours drive away. That wasn't what motivated me and pressed my button. And then one day, I pulled up outside his hotel because he lived in St. Helens and travelled over to our region, and he was asleep in his car. It was 6 p.m. at night, and I was thinking, he's got a hotel room. Unusual. I knocked on his Volvo window. Mike, you might remember the Volvo. And his doors hanging off. It was like a clown car. And he got upset. And he opened up to me and he told me that he was suffering with depression. And as he's driving back across the M62, he quite often thought about driving off the road. And I was really surprised because he put a brave face on. He seemed like he was quite a happy guy. And I said, right, pull yourself together. I'm going to go inside, get us a couple of coffees, sit down, let's have a conversation. And I said, how can I help you? And he said, well, my franchise is under pressure. We've shrunk the region. I need some help to launch a chapter. And I went, brilliant, I'll launch a chapter. And he went, but I've been asking you for ages to launch a chapter, and you've never said yes. And I went, that's before I realised how much you needed some help. It was like somebody just switched a switch. Now, not many people know this. I'm going to tell you guys, keep it to yourself because I've got a tough exterior. I left B&Q as a general manager. I had 250 staff, a 28 million turnover, and opened a flower shop where I took £50 a week for the first 18 months. And it's because I found myself sat in a CCTV cupboard crying. I recognised in the executive director that I took over from, something that I'd been through. Nobody helped me at the time apart from one person called Ian Smith. He's been my friend to this day. He was the general manager of another store, and I'll mention him later on in this presentation because we formed a really, really strong bond during my time working for B&Q. And when the executive director asked for my help, I helped him. I went and started a core group, and it took me 9 months. I say 9 months, still reminds me it was more like 11 months. But hey, we all have rose-tinted glasses when we're talking about launch. And it took me 9 months. I'll stick with 9 months. In fact, during the presentation, it'll get down to 3 months. So it took me 9 months. We launched it at 35 members. It became a Hall of Fame chapter, the first one we'd ever launched in our region. And at the end of it, he said to me, "You really need to go on director training to learn how to launch a chapter." And I went, "I've just launched a chapter." And he said, "Yeah, but I'm going to get into trouble because you're not trained to do it." So I went, "Okay, I'll go on director training." So I became a director to tick a box to help him. He then got me involved in running, not attending, running his regional team meetings because I'd had loads of experience with leadership, not management. I'm not very good at managing. I'm not very good at coping, to be honest. But I'm quite good as a leader and motivate people to get amazing results that they just didn't even think that they were capable of achieving. And it started me on a journey. By me saying yes and helping somebody, Givers Gain has transformed my life. I now get an opportunity to speak on stages around the world to thousands of people. I've spoken in Bangkok, in Los Angeles. Last year alone, if COVID hadn't hit, I was due to speak in Denver, in Greece, in South Africa. And I mean, I still did it, but I did it from my computer in my office. It wasn't as glamorous. I was looking forward to Cape Town as well. And Paris, I missed Paris out. And then we were due to go to Miami. I mean, what a year it was going to be. I'm not angry about what's happened because it's all part of what makes us who we are. Now, the people that aren't in BNI, and even the members that join and don't quite get it and leave before they really get it, don't realize how amazing this opportunity can be. The feeling that you get when you help somebody is 10 times that of receiving a referral. It just makes you feel amazing, doesn't it? When you see that transform somebody's business, I got one referral in my floristry business that transformed my business and allowed me to sell it for more than any other floristry business had ever sold in the Northeast. And that was to a funeral director called Craig and Mallard. We were doing 40 funerals a week with them, and it came from somebody that had a Call Quick franchise called Sue Dixon. She was doing orders of service for them. And after I'd been in about a year, she'd always had this relationship. I'd asked for it on multiple occasions, but I got to trust point with her. And she went and she said, "Look, you need to speak to Russ Sawdon. He's amazing." And they went, "Yeah, okay, we know him. He keeps dropping flowers off and price lists and things like this, but okay, send him in. If you tell me he's a great person, we'll have a coffee with him." They tried me out. I did a product we did a very small funeral for them. The following month, we did £1,500 worth of business with them. And from that point on, they got rid of all their other suppliers. They moved everything to us, and we were doing round about £6,500 to £8,000 a month every single month from one referral. And that was for 10 years until I sold the business. How many people do not pass you referrals and don't tell you why they're not passing you referrals? How many people do you not pass referrals to and you don't take the time to tell them why you're not passing them the referrals? Now, the business community out there are shaped by programs like this. Some of you will recognize this as The Apprentice, where people are encouraged to take every single bit of profit out of a deal for the supplier, drill the prices down, cutthroat, dog eat dog, people get voted out, you're fired. It's all negativity, and it's turned into a bit of a carnival. Well, in BNI, people aren't fired, they're hired. People don't cut each other's throat for the next bit of business. People actually go out of their way to help each other. Now, the lady that I sold my floristry business to was called Jill Edge. I only employed Jill Edge because I joined a BNI chapter on a Friday morning, which was a strange thing to do for a florist because you'd get a delivery from a Dutch wagon outside your shop at 6 a.m. on a Friday morning. And I'd be on my way to a chapter meeting. So who was going to buy the flowers? So I could have gone, no, BNI's not for me. I don't have time. I can't fit it in. But I thought, I'm going to employ somebody to buy the flowers. So I employed somebody that used to have their own shop. She was brilliant in the interview. Within a month, I'd made her the manager of the business. And I became a leader and let her manage the day-to-day operation. And she allowed me to go to B&I, and we got an average of 7 referrals every single week that she'd be excited when I got back into the shop because she knew those 7 referrals kept people employed. They sent families on holiday. I was so lucky to find her, and years later I said thank you by selling her the business. And she said, but I don't have the money to buy the business for what it's worth. And I said, and I don't need the money straight away. Can you pay over 3 years and let the business pay for it? And she went, you'd do that for me? And I went, you've helped me change my life, and I want to say thank you to you. Now, I'm going to tell you a few different stories in here. I tell stories all the time without realizing I'm doing it, because the best way to plug into somebody's emotions, to get them to realize how important something is, or you know, it helps change behavior. These are crabs in a pot. Now, when I was a kid, we used to go crabbing at Whitby. Some of you will have heard of Whitby. It's not a million miles away. If anybody's a goth, there's a goth festival at Whitby every year. Not this year, it was online. But you can't move for people that look like Marilyn Manson. It's the craziest thing because it's such a quaint little seaside town. And then it's just swamped with people dressed in black and purple with dyed hair. But I used to go crabbing as a kid because we used to have a caravan at Filey near Scarborough. And I remember Viz. Anybody ever read Viz? Just a little bit of a timeout. Squirrel! Viz did a series of adverts for Filey Facts, and it was a file of facts that was full of facts about Filey. And we had a caravan there, and I used to love Filey Facts. So it'd be like, the best fish and chips are in the brown room. You know, all of that kind of stuff was in this Filey Facts. But my dad used to take me crabbing. Now, the thing with crabbing is, and you will see human nature is reflected in nature all of the time. If anybody's ever read Dr. Steve Peters' book, The Chimp Paradox, you'll see that behavior in yourself. Well, crabs taught me something. At the time I was being bullied at school, I was the fat, geeky, spotty kid in a school where on day one, I walked down the back of the school wondering why my parents had sent me this social experiment, and there were people sniffing gas before I went in. I thought, this is going to be an interesting 5 years. It was like going to prison as a pretty person, and like, it was horrible. So I got beaten up every day. And I learned that when you put a single crab in your pot, when you go crabbing, you catch a crab and you put it in the pot, that crab will always escape. Always. Because it wants to better itself, it wants to get out, wants to get back into the water. The moment you put a second crab in that pot, no crabs escape the pot. You don't have to keep an eye on the pot. And the reason is that crabs pull each other back down. They don't want to be left alone. How many people in your chapters say, don't volunteer for that, they only want your time? Remember the video at the beginning? Instead of saying you like Mike Holman did to me, do you know what? There's this opportunity I think you'd be really amazing at. And I'd like to put your name forward and put my name to you. Mike was the crab that pushed me out of the pot, because I could have still been in that pot with other EDs and other people in this organisation at such a high level, just going, no, I want that opportunity, I'll pull you back down. In your chapter, do you ever take the time to say to somebody, listen, I know the person you want an introduction to, but let me tell you why I'm reluctant to make that introduction, and I want you to tell me why I should make the introduction. Do you ever do that, or do you just not bother? People don't walk around in a B&I chapter or come onto a screen with a T-shirt with all the names of the people they're connected to. They just don't. That'd be crazy. You've got to assume that there are people in that chapter that are connected to people. But instead, what we do is we pull against each other. It's human nature. Some of you will have been at Nottingham at the conference, the last face-to-face conference we had, and I did a presentation on stage where I picked a guy from one of your regions, Will Haggerty. Is it Will Haggerty? Yeah. He's a big guy. He's a man mountain. And he was in the front row and he was looking at me like this, as if to say, go on, entertain me. And all of my presentations, I try and build a bit of humor in it. And I just spontaneously, he didn't know I was going to do it. Heck, I didn't know I was going to do it. I got him to come up on stage and I said, put your hands out in front of you. And I pushed his hands and he pushed back so hard I nearly fell over because he's a big guy. And I said, isn't that strange? Human nature is we push back. You know, have you ever had an argument with your partner at home because they've asked you something, you've thought that they confront you over something, you snap back and they snap back at you? I win loads of arguments at home, and the reason I know that is I sleep on the settee a lot. So I must win some arguments. And we pull against each other all the time. It's human nature. Well, imagine how powerful it would be if we all got on the same side of the rope and pulled in the same direction. God, we could pull an airplane instead of pulling against each other. I mean, that is wasted energy. It's wasted energy. Chapters pulling against each other. Just this week, we had a chapter where we have a roofer in the chapter. He's such a positive person. He's one of the top members in his chapter. He's their chief visitor host. He organises the breakout rooms now on Zoom and everything. And a guy was invited along by the cleaning company, because it's no normal cleaning company. They clean like Amazon depots and everything there. They do big, high-level rope access cleaning. She invited along a guy who, the best way to describe his business is, he's a surveyor. He surveys industrial roofs with drones, with rope access. They look at the underside of bridges, all that kind of thing. And because his website said, and maintenance, the roofer checked him out whilst he was on the call, got into a breakout room in Power Teams and said to him, so you're a roofer then? And he went, no, we're not a roofer. We try and give work to roofers, but you don't do any maintenance on roofs. Yeah, we do a bit. So you're a roofer then? You can't have 60 seconds. He pulled against the guy. Now that worked quite well because the guy was back this week because he had a one-to-one with him off his own accord and said, I actually need roofers. The following week, the roofer introduced him personally, said he's brilliant. I love him. I can't wait to have him in the chapter. There's always two ways to look at a situation. One of my favourite phrases, it's a Russism, is where perceived conflict exists, synergy is almost always present. Where perceived conflict exists, synergy is almost always present. You know, this cleaning company has said, I want a cleaning company in the chapter. And everyone's going, but you're a cleaning company. He said, yeah, but we're spending far too much time doing domestic cleaning and ended tenancy for cottages up in the North York Moors and stuff like that, that we're not getting to the stuff that makes us the money. So we want a cleaning company in here to work with. That synergy would mean that when they get asked for bigger stuff, including fogging and COVID-related stuff, they'll go to Holly and ask her. Now, anybody ever watch, particularly over the Christmas period, The World's Strongest Man? Do you ever watch that? I mean, I just see it as lots of fat people lifting stuff. It's a bit like me, really, only without the strength. Well, what you see on there is they never push cars, they always pull cars. See, what I did with Will was I instantly gathered my thoughts, thought he's bigger than I thought he was, he's stronger than I thought he was, and I took his hands and I pulled him towards me. I didn't take much effort and he nearly fell flat on his face. He didn't expect me to pull him, he expected me to push him. Imagine if we just changed our approach with each other in our chapters and we actually started pulling each other and helping each other. You see, if you push from the bottom, you get dirty hands. If you pull from the top, you create a slipstream that's easier for the people to follow. Pulling and helping is transformational, not just for your chapters, but for your business and for you. We can learn from kids, can't we? Kids in this situation will take it in turns to get pulled and jump in the car. They'll take it in turns and they'll sort it out themselves. I remember going to Centre Parks up in the Lake District many years ago when Edward, our youngest, was only about 6 years old. And there's a sand pit with a crane in the play park near the subtropical paradise. It's a swimming pool. And he went away and he's quite a shy individual. He's not like our eldest, who is very much like me. He's like, hi, I'm Harry. No, Edward is a bit shy. He'll see kids playing. He'll stand on the periphery. He won't push in and get something. When you go to kids' parties and they're handing out balloons, he'll be the one that waits and then all the balloons have gone. When they were younger, Harry used to go and get him a balloon. Say, I'm getting my brother a balloon, because Edward wouldn't go and get a balloon. And at Centre Parks on this particular occasion, we're sat having a coffee and we're watching him play. It was a lovely evening. It's one of these times when you think, I have nothing to do other than watch my son play. It was amazing, really great tonic. And then it was time to go. And he went, not a problem, bear with me. And he said to the kids that were playing with him with the sand, he said, right, you're on the winch. You go down there, make sure the sand's going in the thing. You pile it up. Right, don't let me down, guys. I'm counting on you. He became a natural leader and they empowered him to be a leader, not because he shouted the loudest, but because he just knew what to do and he organised them. Have you ever had a new member join your chapter and you see them floundering, you don't go and help them and you don't introduce them to people and you don't say, oh, you're struggling to bring visitors, this person brings loads of visitors, let's get you hooked up. It's everybody's duty to do that. Somebody once said to me, it's a real shame that Steve's left our chapter. And I went, Oh, really? Why is it a real shame? Oh, because we had loads of synergy and I really could have helped him and he had loads of contacts I could have benefited from. And I said, when did you last have a one-to-one with him? Oh, I haven't had a one-to-one with him. Then it's not a shame he's left because you didn't have any perceived value. You didn't help him. It's too late now. Make sure that we look out for each other. We need to be the safety net that catches people at the moment. Spot people that aren't okay. Spot the people that are really, really struggling. Now, does anybody recognise this sport? It makes no sense to me whatsoever. You get 4 people, they're all in a team, they all go round and round and round and round, take it in turns. There's another team going round and round and round. They never overtake this team, they never overtake that team, and then one person wins and gets a gold medal. What is the point? I mean, I don't know. Jill loves it. Jill could sit and watch people whiz round a velodrome for hours after hours after hours. Now, what is amazing about this is the whole team celebrate as if they've won gold. It's like watching a Tour de France race where one person gets the awards and the glory and wins the Tour de France, but it's a team that have got them there. Your chapter is that team. They are that team that when somebody wins something, the whole chapter celebrate instead of going, I should have won that. I've got a phrase that I'm trying to get out there in the Collins English Dictionary. I'm hoping it'll get in next year. And it's collaboration. Collaboration. Collaboration is a mashup of collaboration and competition. So when there's executive directors like Mike, if somebody hits number 1 as a region, Mike is the person that'll pick the phone up to them and say, congratulations. He doesn't go, damn it, it should have been me. He says, congratulations, you've done incredibly well. Louise does the same. They are so celebratory of each other. However, it's okay to be competitive. Competitive drives us forward, whether it's member traffic lights, chapter traffic lights, regional traffic lights, the new 3+1 traffic lights. We have so many measuring systems out there. Now, I mentioned Ian Smith earlier on. You might remember me talking about him. He's from Middlesbrough, moved to York. I don't hold it against him. Don't hold it against him. He still has a season ticket for Middlesbrough, bless him. And Ian Smith was a general manager of Stockton on Tees B&Q. I was general manager of Scotswood Road B&Q. If anybody's ever flown from Newcastle Airport and you've gone up the A1 as opposed to the up the M6 and across, you'll pass a big B&Q just near the airport. That was my B&Q. And every year at Easter, we used to have a store standards competition. The store standards competition was to get the store ready for the key trading time, Easter, bank holiday, into the summer. It was where we took the majority of our money and we made the majority of our profit. So it was great for our bottom line, therefore our bonuses. Every store manager wanted to win the store standards competition for bragging rights, kudos, whatever goes with it. Until you didn't make it through the following round. So I wanted to beat Ian Smith into the ground, even though he was my friend, until I got knocked out in the first round. And I sent 25 members of staff over to work 48 hours on a rotation to help him win. That's collaboration. I want to win, but not at the expense of somebody else's health, well-being, state of mind. Think about your chapter. It's okay to want to be the number 1 member in your chapter. It's okay to want to be the notable networker. But celebrate the people that win it when you don't. Learn from them and pull from the top and help other people. Because next month, if it's somebody else and you've helped them, then you've moved up to the next level of leadership. You know, and legacy leaders are leaders that find leaders that create leaders. And they don't look for the celebration. They don't look for the plaudits and the applause. And that's why whenever somebody reads out the bio that I've provided for them, I always feel a bit of a fraud because I don't think any of us are comfortable with getting that praise. If you don't believe in collaboration, look at these two. Oof. They hated each other, didn't they, as players? Look at that. Gary Neville is literally going to take his head straight off his shoulders. That's Jamie Carragher, who played for Liverpool, and Gary Neville, who played for Manchester United. Both of them were one-team players. They never played for other teams. They just played for those teams, and they're both legends at those respective teams. They hated each other until they both got a job at Sky, and now they actually get on. They're quite good colleagues. And actually, when they were even playing football, when they put on an England shirt, although Jamie Carragher does look like he wants to trip Gary Neville over there, when they were playing for England together, they still wanted to win, and that's collaboration. So I just want you to think about, are you a crab pulling somebody else down, or are you pushing them up and helping them? It's okay to not be in a position to pass work to everybody in your chapter. It's okay to not want to pass work to everybody in your chapter. But it's not okay to not try and get to know them, because every person you choose not to pass work to is somebody that isn't probably going to pass work to you in the volume that they could, because you do not know who is connected to who. And if we don't get those foundations right, and we don't see, giver's gain, to me, as Ivan says, giver's gain is not just a phrase, it's a way of doing business. Well, for me, it's a way of life. I remember my eldest son, when he was 15, was driving him to a football match. And in fact, I think it was Hartlepool, because he plays for Hartlepool Youth, playing, what's the pronunciation, Liam? Filed? FC Filed. Yeah, we were playing FC Filed in the FA Youth Trophy. And I was driving him there, and I took a couple of calls on the way there. And I always used to ask him permission, can I make a couple of calls? Because I didn't want him to think that I was just always working. And I came off the call, and he said, Dad, you're always helping people, aren't you? You spend every minute of every day helping people and asking them how you can help them. And I do. I finish every conversation with, is there anything else I can help you with? And that alone is the biggest referral generator that I've ever found in B&I. How can I help you? How can I help you? Mike might remember when I became an executive director, the first conference I went to was at Reading. And the guy who made that video for me, actually, Lawrence, I did a presentation on stage, and he came in at the back of the room and moved Ewan Sturman from the front row and sat down, because I wanted to show what it feels like sometimes when you say to visitors, you're in my seat, by the way. You know, and I had these business cards printed. There were B&I business cards on the front, but on the back, it had, how can I help you? And my team used to present it with, how can I help you, to people. And we did this draw where you have to put all your business cards into the thing, you pull it out, and somebody gets some signed books by Ivan. And I got a phone call from somebody at National Office saying, your business cards are not compliant. And I went, what do you mean they're not compliant? They don't have a QR code on the back. And I went, no, they've got, how can I help you, on the back. Because I wanted the entire team to say, how can I help you? As an introduction to this amazing world of giving that we have. I might just get them done again now that, like, I'm a bit bigger and a bit more confident. If we don't get these foundations right, then we have a sinkhole, and our chapter will lose, bang, 8 members like that in a short period of time, because we didn't take the time to get the foundations right, to put all of the underpinning in there, to get them through the passport program, to get them to events like this, to actually reach out to them and say, can I help you? Now, as I head to the end of this presentation, I want to just share a story of friendship that the daft lad from Stockton-on-Tees that started a flower shop and wore a penny for a living ended up being an author and a public speaker and a coach. I mean, just crazy. I would never have thought that would have happened. These people are people that I met in the Founders Circle. Mike and Louise, you'll definitely recognize them. Some other people on here might recognize them. In the top left, we have Antonio Afonso from Portugal. The crazy guy with a hat is Paulo Corsi from Brazil. The really handsome guy next is Marcus Bosdorf from Germany. And the guy who looks like he's in the CIA is Vince Vigneri. Yes, these people have the most amazing names. Russ Sawdon just doesn't cut it. This is Vera Dobrovic. She's from Slovenia, but has a franchise in Italy. This is Edgar Ramirez from Mexico City. Not the actor Edgar Ramirez, but a different Edgar Ramirez. This is Mark Graber, one of the architects of the passport system of mentoring. He's an Australian that has a franchise in Canada, in British Columbia. This is Jan de Wachter from, and I even got the in there, from Flemish Belgium. This is Bharat Dagger. Some of you will have been at Newcastle at the conference and saw Bharat speak. And this guy is Russ Sawdon. We all met through the Founders Circle, and we became friends. We became really good friends. We went around the world together, and we have broken bread together, shared bottles of wine together, shared stories, all the way through our B&I Founders Circle existence. I mean, these are in Munich, Dublin, Paris, all over the place. Yeah, that was just in case people didn't realize Edgar was Mexican. He thought he best pointed out. That's in Hofbahnhaus in Munich. Yeah, I'll put 2 of them in there. Now, lockdown happened and we were going to all meet again in all the places I've mentioned this year and have an amazing, amazing time and get to know each other even better. And then lockdown happened on the 24th of March, I think it happened. And we all got on a video call together on a Saturday lunchtime. For us, it was 1 o'clock. For Mark, it was late at night. For Edgar and Vince and Paolo in the Americas, it was early in the morning. And that's when we really got to know each other. As you can see on here, we got to know each other's families. We know the names of each other's kids. We all get on Zoom calls together, even now, every Saturday. And then, as we got to know each other a little bit better, we actually fell in love. We became family. We were more than friends. We became best friends. Best friends from all the countries from around the world. And as we got to know each other, we all got to tell each other stories. How did we start our businesses? How did we end up where we were? And we realized that we were all actually quite interesting people. And then Mark Graeber said, we should really write a book. We should tell people about our journey into entrepreneurship and give them tips and advice that we went through so they don't have to, whether it's starting a business or growing a business. Between us, we have 9,500 BNI members. Our members every year pass 450,000 referrals and thank each other for over 500 million US dollars every single year. If you traveled from one region to the other, to the other, to the other, you'd cover 62,873 miles. It's incredible, really, the story. It's a lockdown story. We would never have progressed to the next stage of our relationship. So when you've got members saying, no, it's no good for me, don't like Zoom, are they thinking about it the right way? Are they just looking through blinkers, or are they thinking the bigger, wider community? See, all of this changed into speaking at the conference, the global conference that has just happened, and actually writing a book together, doing launch events. We're now planning to have a conference in August, a global conference, 24-hour rolling conference that will start with the guys in Australia, go across to India, then the Europeans will pick it up, and then it will finish in Mexico City or in Brazil. And the book that we wrote is called Entrepreneurship. It's a trilogy. The first one is Entre. That is all about entering a business, from what we did for a living and all the skills we picked up to how we started our business up, the mistakes that we made, the successes that we found, and all of them have a common BNI thread through it. There's everything from hospitality, conferencing, retail, tech industries with Antonio. He's a very, very talented programmer. If anybody uses reporting for you in their regions, then Antonio, it's his company. And all of that came about. We've gone in lockdown from not ever written a book before, apart from Bharat was the only one that had written a book before, to we're all authors of a book that has a forward that from Ivan Meisner, a forward from Graham Y. Miller, and we've dedicated the book to Beth Meisner. And 300 books have been given to business voices in the US so they can distribute it to college kids that are thinking about taking a path of entrepreneurship. Now, what I'd like to offer you guys, if it's all right with you, Mike, to say thank you to all of your amazing members is, rather than wait and get it on Amazon, which is going to cost you £12, I'd like to offer your members today a pre-launch price at $8.99. If anybody wants to order the book, then I'll ship it to you. The cost of the shipping is included in that. All you got to do is email me at russ@bni-dt.co.uk, and I'll make sure that you get a copy of the book the moment that they land with me from Belgium. And if you would like something written in the book to give it to a member of your, another member of your chapter to say, here you go, I think you benefit from that, then I'll honour that price. All you've got to do is just write, I don't know, some code like Lancashire or Northwest or something in the heading line, and I'll honour that for you. Now, whether you're a brand new member of BNI, whether you have been in BNI for many, many years and lost your way a little bit and need to fall back in love with Giver's Gain, or whether you are somebody that just really doesn't quite get how this works, the reason that I wanted to tell you that story and tell you about the book is that the people in your chapter are amongst your best friends. And what I mean by that is the people that have been in your life up until you getting involved in BNI have probably never passed you any business. They've never introduced you to opportunity. Yet the people that you meet on a regular basis are people that will take the time to get to know you as a business person. See, the relationship I have with my BNI best friends from all around the world is deeper than any relationship that I had from school, from any previous employment, even Ian Smith. And in your chapter, there are people that will become your business friends for life. When I joined BNI, I didn't realize this would happen. When I joined BNI, there's a guy I met in our chapter called Steve Smith. I'm godfather to his daughter, and I met him through business. So just think, where will this journey take you? Are you going to pull from the top, push from the bottom? And who needs your help today that didn't need it yesterday? Because you never know when you're going to need their help either. Thank you.
Can we have a round of applause for Russ? Unmute ourselves, please. What a phenomenal 45 minutes. Awesome work, Russ. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Happy as well. Terrific. Really, really terrific. Please, if you've got any questions for us, hopefully you'll stick around, Russ, for a few minutes so we can ask any questions. If that's all right. Great. Well, one of the questions was, have you written a book? And we know that already. So
I've written a book.
It's awesome. Louise, have you got any questions that are coming on your end there?
No, not yet. Please send them through to me. No, sorry.
That's all right. No,
I forget that bit. I was too busy enjoying myself to ask everybody if they had questions.
See, I'm very comprehensive, you see. I'm very comprehensive.
Can you repeat the phrase for me?
To
make sure that we've got it written down properly, the quote about perceived conflict, because that was brilliant and I want to make sure I've got that written down. Guess what the quote is of the week, everybody?
Where perceived conflict exists, synergy is almost always present.
Brilliant. Got it. Thank you.
One question that we had. Sorry, go on, Louise. Go on.
No, go on.
I suppose your biggest challenge, and I mean, you've already talked about your wins in the last 12 months, but biggest challenge and then your biggest win over the last 12 months then with regards to your BNI journey, because we're all on a journey within it.
Yeah. Biggest challenge was balancing my time. When we came into lockdown, I was still the president of the Founders Circle, and it was a 2-year role. And 2 years into the role, Graham Weinmiller asked me if I'd stay on for an extra year. And I said, yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm getting a lot from it. I really like helping people as well, not just in my region, not just in the UK, but around the world. One of the reasons I'm in the UK and Ireland training team, which it was really like, I came to Manchester for my sign off and Mike signed me off as part of the training team as well, which was really, really nerve wracking. One of the things that I like to do is I like to give, and I don't know when to say no to people. I didn't realize that I was going to end up on a weekly 2-hour phone call with Graham Weinmiller and a lot of his senior people and directors giving advice on how we should navigate through COVID. And that was like, it was mind blowing to get that opportunity, but it was very hard balancing the time because, you know, homeschooling, personal fitness. I put 3 stone on in lockdown. Got 2 stone off now. Got 3 stone put on in lockdown because I just couldn't. Something had to give, and it was exercise. It was time with the family, that kind of thing. One of the wins would be finding the time to write a book and set up another business as well with coaching. But the big win is that balance of time. You know, and now with our lockdown dog that I didn't want, I now walk the dog twice a day. I do 15,000 steps, which has then motivated me to get my eating and my routine in order. And so I actually quite like lockdown now. I've got a really good work-life balance. I find time for me and for Jill and the family as well. So that is my win, but it took me a bit of time because none of us knew how long it was going to be, did we? We thought, we'll do this week by week, month by month. Okay, it might be quarter by quarter. And what I'm finding now is people are going, do you know what? It's 2021. It doesn't matter what is decided. We all need to be safe, and I'm going to make sure that I make this year amazing. And part of that for me was just making sure that I zoned my time effectively, Liam.
Love it, love it, love it.
Liam, can I just put something in there?
Mike.
One thing I love about Russ, and I mean, obviously me and Russ go back a number of years now. Russ for me is somebody that always says yes. And you know, sometimes maybe his wife will say that's not a good thing. He always says yes to things. But, you know, I mean, Russ was somebody that I interviewed when Russ first became an executive director. And then I got the option. I was part of a global board and I was invited to bring one person to the US with me. And I turned around to Russ and didn't really know Russ at the time. I said, look, Russ, I think he's be saying, yes, I'll be there. Now, this guy had to leave his family, come to America a few days before the conference would start, which was more cost, more time with his family, very young, fledgling business there, where a lot of EDs would have said, I can't really afford it right now, I'm not sure. But Russ said, yes. And, you know, the advice he's given everyone here is like, you know what, take the opportunities. Right now, there's leadership teams out there saying, would you like a role? Would you like to get involved and be on the committee, the visit hosting? And do you know what a lot of people are saying right now? It could be a better time than this. Do you know, it could be difficult. Just think about what's the opportunity you could miss in the next 12 months? What's the difference that you could make over the course of the next 12 months by saying yes rather than saying no? Because it's people that say...
You don't know where the opportunities are going to take you guys. You genuinely don't. We've got a member in our region who's a maths tutor, and she's been in BNI 2 months, and she phoned me up and she said, listen, I know that this leadership team are going to stay on, but I'd really like to be the vice president so I can learn more and meet more people. And I was like, okay. Who do you think's on my radar now for me to introduce business to? You know, it's not. I'm just one person in a region with 300 members, but because of Zoom, she can be a maths tutor anywhere around the world. I've introduced her to people in Thailand in BNI that are passing her people that want to do maths tutoring. It's mental. It really is, the opportunities, and it starts with you just going, do you know what? And she said to me, she said, will I say yes? She said, how can I say no? Why would I not say yes? Because when you hear somebody whose journey is taking them off in a different direction, I'm no longer the guy with the flower shop. Not that I wanted to not be the guy with the flower shop, because I just didn't know what else was out there. Now I think back to that person and think, I should have just said yes earlier. I shouldn't have wasted the first 3.5 years of my membership looking after me and my business. And I didn't realize that the two just go hand in hand. You know, looking after other people is looking after your business.
There's a lovely phrase I stole from somebody at Global Convention, I think it was, and it was, you can't predict the future, so create it. And I love that. And I think all of us have an opportunity in our businesses, in our chapters, in our own personal journeys in BNI to create our own future. We can't predict it, but we can be very much instrumental in actually ensuring that we get whatever we want for ourselves and all those people around us that we truly care about, our members and our family and our communities. So you're not here by chance, guys. You took the opportunity to be here this afternoon because you want to further develop yourself. You want to make new contacts. Just think about what else you could be doing.
Can I tell one more quick story that ties in with that? Would that be okay? Mm-hmm. So the lady who bought my flower shop, about 4 years ago, it was Mother's Day week. Her chapter meeting was on a Friday morning because she joined the same chapter that I'd been a member of. And her van had a flat tyre outside of the venue. It was a golf club. It was pouring down with rain, and everybody was walking past her and nobody stopped to help her. And she was really struggling with the tyre iron to get the wheel off. It was a Vauxhall combo van, so it should come off quite easy. And there was a wheel in the back that I used for ballast anyway. So the wheel was there. And everybody just kept walking past. There was a member of the chapter called Glenn Lowry. He has an IT company. Really miserable, never took a role in the chapter, never said yes to things. And I just had him written off. I would never have used him. He was in a suit and he got outside and he got down on his knees, ruined his suit, took the wheel off, put the new wheel on and said to Jill, it's more important that you get to work than I save this suit. Now, the reason I'm telling you that story is spot people that are natural givers, because sometimes people just need permission to be world class. I was a member that became an executive director. You know, I didn't go through director consultant and all of that stuff. I was a member that became an executive director. It's just a title. It doesn't matter. I had permission to be amazing. I just didn't take that permission. And you'll know people in your chapters that, why not just pull them to one side and say, can I just say you are absolutely amazing? I make a point. I remember years ago, Mike, I told you about we write cards to people. If we spot them being amazing and we tell them, we still do that. But now we just invite them to a Zoom call, just say, there's no other reason for this call than just to tell you that you are amazing. You've done this, you've done this, you've done this. Do you know that's what people are saying about you? Because your reputation is what people say about you when you're not there. I've told that story about Glenn Lowry in our region and around the world at least 50 times. Glenn Lowry got contacted by somebody from Australia to say, are you Glenn Lowry? I've heard all about you. And he was like, what? I'm just a guy with an IT company. You don't know the story people will tell about you, but you can make sure that you stand a good chance of it being positive.
Brilliant. Louise?
Yeah, I've got a question based on a conversation I was having with one of my team actually today. And in some chapters, we have people who have a sofa as opposed to a chair within the group. And in line with this, the collaboration and the cooperation, how would you go about trying to get them to understand that actually it's far more powerful to collaborate with those people than it is to have a sofa?
They have a sofa. Explain a sofa as opposed to.
Okay, well, I'm going to use the easiest one to give an example. A sofa is a solicitor who takes every single category. They are solicitor. Whereas I've got Royal, and I know a number of them on here at the moment. Royal are absolutely amazing. Mark's on here, Pam's on here, Zara's on here. All three are in the same chapter. All three are solicitors in different fields, and their collaboration is amazing in the amount of business. But in other groups, we've got solicitor.
Yeah. So what's the specific question? How to help people understand that? Right. Okay. So you heard me say where there is perceived conflict, synergy almost always exists. We had the same in our region. We had our biggest chapter at the time it had 39 members. No, it had 44 members in it, and thanked each other for £4.4 million worth of business the previous year. And it had one law firm in there. Now that law firm had the litigation partner was in as the member, but he also said we do conveyancing, we do family law, we do criminal law, and he talked about everything over a period of time. And I said I'd like to bring another solicitor into the group, and he went, no, you can't bring another solicitor into the group. And I went, oh, do you do immigration law? And he went, no, we don't do immigration law. And I went, oh, it's an immigration solicitor. And he went, all right, well, I wouldn't mind meeting her. And I went, instead of meeting her, why don't you invite her? So he invited her along, and she came in and she took that category. He got so much business from her as another solicitor that he personally went out and found somebody that did family law, wills, probate, that kind of thing, and brought them in because that wasn't his cost center in the business. And he recognized that if he could get the right firm in, and he helped choose that firm, then there'd be collaboration between them. You don't believe it until you see it. And it's not about splitting seats. It's about collaborating and not being crabs in a bucket. And every person, and this is the thing, nobody's going to tell you this. If you see people in the chapter, be the one to tell them. Nobody's going to tell you that, did you know that I haven't passed you any business because you're stopping 2 or 3 people that could bring £40,000 next year in the group? And you might not benefit from them being in, but the other 30 members of the group will. And because of that, I think you're a little bit selfish. Nobody's going to tell you that. But if you get ahead of it and you get involved with bringing somebody else in that you can collaborate with successfully and have a great working relationship with, the whole group go, wow, that person's a real giver. And your referred business that you receive is amplified because of that. I see it all the time. When people don't get it, I say, you just haven't got it yet. That's all. You just haven't got it yet. Let me introduce you to somebody else in the region or have a conversation with them. And that I've never seen a situation where somebody not hogging lots of seats but being quite restrictive on who they'll allow into their group ends well for them.